Old Chen, how is it, my master, is he all right? Qi and blood are deficient, and the organs in the body are seriously damaged. Alas, how could it be like this? In the darkness, Yaran stumbled upon hearing someone whispering in his ear, and he seemed to be crying a bit during the process. He forced his eyes to open. The first feeling was pain, the pain was piercing, the whole body seemed to be torn apart. Then came the unfamiliar surroundings. In the quaint room, there was a white-haired old man and a girl only 14 or 15 years old sitting beside the bed. "Master, are you awake?" Seeing Yaran open her eyes, the girl exclaimed with joy, but at this time Yaran had no time to pay attention to her, because an inexplicable memory flooded in her mind. I don't know how long it took, it seemed like a long time, and it seemed like it was just a moment, but Yaran also understood her current situation. I traveled through it myself and came to a fantasy world where the demons were revived and the people were struggling to live. In this world, monsters can be said to be rampant, and the collapse of the imperial order makes these monsters unscrupulous. This also leads to more and more ordinary people becoming the blood food of these monsters. It can be said that this is a hellish world, and the lives of ordinary people are thinner than paper. The body that Yaran traveled through was also called Yaran, and his identity was the owner of a small martial arts hall in the mountain city. As for why it was like this, it was entirely because he met Li Guisuosheng last night, and his predecessor was unwilling to escape. After all, this martial arts hall was left to him by his predecessor's parents. He would rather die than give up the martial arts hall handed down from generation to generation by his ancestors, so he would fight Li Gui to the end at all costs. It's a pity that in the end, although Li Gui was forcibly forced back, the predecessor himself was seriously injured and died, which made Yaran pass through. "Master, are you all right?" Just as Yaran was thinking, the girl's voice brought him back to reality. Looking at the girl in front of her, Yaran knew her identity. She was a disciple just accepted by her predecessor, named Wu Ziyu. Of course, he is now his only disciple. Last night's battle with that spectre, all the original 8 disciples under the predecessor's sect ran away, and only Wu Ziyu stayed. When faced with a desperate situation, you can always see a person's truest face. Just like the disciples of the predecessor was very kind to them on weekdays, but in the end, the disaster was approaching and they were separated. In the end, only Wu Ziyu, who had just been apprenticed for less than a week, stayed. As for the white-haired old man on the side, his surname is Chen, and he is a well-known doctor in the mountain city. "It's all right for the teacher, Ziyu, you should send Elder Chen back first." Not knowing what to say for a while, Yaran said. Hearing this, Wu Ziyu nodded respectfully in response, and Elder Chen also got up helplessly. He did everything he could, and Yaran successfully turned the corner, but before leaving, Chen Lao looked at Yaran with a complicated expression. "Martial Dao is impossible. Now it's the world of cultivators, Xiao Yat, some things can't be forced." Facing Chen Lao's words, Yaran didn't answer. In response, Chen Lao just sighed softly and walked out of the room accompanied by Wu Ziyu. For what Chen Lao said, Yaran also knew the reason from his predecessor's memory. This world is dominated by monks. Powerful monks can easily move mountains and burn seas with their gestures. Even in the face of powerful demon kings, ghost kings are not afraid at all. However, if you want to become a monk, the requirements are also quite high. The predecessor was not talented in cultivation. In addition, the elders in the family were all martial arts practitioners, so he went with the martial artist. It's a pity that in the eyes of a cultivator, warriors are completely ants-like existences. In fact, this is indeed the case. The cultivator breathes out the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and uses the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to cultivate with powerful means. As for warriors, in the eyes of cultivators, they are just a group of ordinary people with powerful qualities. Before the dynasty's order had not collapsed, warriors who had successfully cultivated could still find a half-official position in the imperial court. But with the collapse of the dynasty's order, the entire hall was already filled with smog, and the way out for the warriors was completely cut off. What's more, cultivating a martial artist is not an easy task. Not only does it require extraordinary willpower and perseverance, but the resources consumed during this period are extremely expensive. At least ordinary people cannot afford such an expense. It is expensive and has no future. This has led to few people who are optimistic about martial arts, and naturally no one is willing to practice martial arts. If you have that skill, you might as well become a monk directly. This also led to the fact that the former martial arts hall has been in a state of making ends meet. Many people have persuaded the predecessor to let him close the martial arts hall. After all, it would be a loss to open it. Wouldn't it be good to use the money to do something else? At least it can make life a little better. But the predecessor was unwilling. Even if he met Li Gui, he was unwilling to give up his martial arts hall, and finally he died. What a fool! Yaran didn't dislike the persistence of her predecessor. After all, people have more or less things they want to protect with all their might. But is it really worth it? In this world, the martial artist has no future after all. Just like the predecessor, he practiced martial arts since childhood, but in the end, he couldn't even beat a little devil. Just when Yaran was sorting out these memories, the door was opened, and Wu Ziyu ran in with a worried look. Master, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com is not good. Seeing Wu Ziyu's anxious expression, Yaran asked in a hoarse voice. What's wrong? Master, that spectre still won't let us go. I picked it up in the yard. Facing Yaran's question, Wu Ziyu handed over a piece of paper money, covered with dark red blood. Money to buy life. With just one glance, Yaran could see the origin of the paper money, and there was a 9 written in blood on it, which meant that he would come to ask for his life in 9 days. You don't have to think about it to know that this must have been sent by the spectre last night. In the battle last night, this spectre was desperately forced to retreat by his predecessor, but he still didn't intend to let Yaran go. Looking at the life-buying money in his hand, Yaran's brows wrinkled unconsciously. This is really going to kill them all. But think about it, anyone who is targeted by evil spirits will basically have no good results in the end. After all, these evil spirits will not be soft-hearted. It is their nature to hunt and kill human beings, and in their eyes, human beings are just rations. It's just that he is seriously injured right now, and he is unable to deal with this evil at all. Even in his heyday, Yaran's strength is not an opponent of this evil. Do you want to run away? The Yaran who passed through is not his predecessor. If he knew that he was dead, he would definitely not stay. After all, there is only one life. At this moment, a cold electronic sound suddenly sounded in my mind. The host is detected, and the system is binding. System? Hearing the voice, Yaran was instantly overjoyed. Just when I was thinking about whether I was going to run away, the system appeared. It wasn't because I fell asleep and met a pillow, so Yaran asked in her heart. Introduce the function. The appearance of the system made Yaran happy, and at the same time, the system quickly responded. As long as the host teaches the disciples and makes the disciples stronger, they can get random multiples of rewards, and the reward multiples are randomly drawn, ranging from 1 to 100 times. The identity of the host is detected, and the system is adapted to the top version of martial arts. Host, Yaran. Identity, the owner of the Ye family martial arts hall. Cultivation, the body refining realm is complete. Disciple under the sect, 1 person. The function of the system is very simple. As long as you teach your disciples to cultivate, or give them some treasures to help them become stronger, then you can get double the reward. What really makes Yaran care about is the top martial arts. Is the system going to let him go all the way? Although there is no comparison between warriors and monks in this world, Yaran, who is a traveler, is very clear that the reason is that there is no complete inheritance of martial arts in this world. After learning about the system, Yaran saw Wu Zio was looking at her worriedly. "Master, why don't we run away, that spectre is so fierce." While speaking, Wu Zio's big watery eyes were full of worry. If it was before, Yaran would have agreed with Wu Zio's proposal, but now, the system has been awakened, so what else are you running for? Besides, in such a world, there are demons everywhere, and without enough strength, how can it be said that it is truly safe? Maybe it's not as safe as my own small martial arts hall. Ziu, do you want to leave the Ye family martial arts hall? Facing Yaran's question, the little girl shook her head again and again. I don't want to, but Ziu doesn't want to let master have any trouble. Wu Ziu has been wandering alone for so long. After being picked up by her predecessor, she has only a few days to get started, but she has great respect for her master. Perhaps it was because she never felt the warmth of home since she was a child, Wu Ziu cherished everything in front of her. This is why, after the other disciples chose to run away, Wu Ziu chose to stay. Yaran didn't know what to say to the predecessors, all of them were witty-eyed wolves. If it wasn't for the care of their predecessors, they could not even afford to eat because they were born poor, but the predecessors took care of them as their own children from beginning to end. Not only did he teach them to practice martial arts, but he didn't charge a cent, and even included food, taking care of them like a master and a father. But in the end, in exchange, he gave up without hesitation. Thinking of this, Yaran felt worthless for his predecessor, and stopped thinking about these bad things, and his eyes fell on Wu Ziu again. Looking at the sincere look in the little girl's eyes and the worry from her heart, Yaran said solemnly, I don't want to leave as a teacher, but the evil spirit made it clear that he doesn't intend to let us go. Even so, we can't sit still. From today, I will personally supervise your cultivation for the teacher, and you must not be lazy. I don't know what Yaran is going to do, but after hearing this, Wu Ziu nodded and replied, she has 100% trust in Yaran. If it wasn't for master, she would have starved to death long ago. Not long after, at Yaran's request, Wu Ziu burned a bucket full of hot water. Poured the water into the prepared wooden bucket, and then Yaran, with the help of Wu Ziu, found many precious medicinal materials from the room. In recent years, because the martial arts hall has almost zero income, it is impossible to buy the medicinal materials for body quenching. These medicinal materials are all treasured by Yaran for a long time. And today, what Yaran has to do is to quench her body in a medicinal bath for Wu Ziu. This is a very extravagant thing in normal times, because many precious medicinal materials are used for body tempering, which is completely unaffordable for the Ye Family Martial Arts Academy. But today, in order to verify the rewards of the system, Yaran also worked hard and took out many precious medicinal herbs that his predecessor treasured. Put a lot of medicinal materials into the wooden barrel one by one, and soon, a strong medicinal fragrance wafted out. Master! Smelling the strong medicinal fragrance, Wu Ziu also knew what Master wanted to do, but when she thought that such a precious medicinal bath was actually used on her body, the little girl was a little reluctant. After all, Master is still seriously injured. If these medicinal materials are used by Master, it will definitely make Master's injury heal as soon as possible. Stop talking nonsense, go in and soak. But before Wu Ziu could speak, Yaran interrupted. In this regard, Wu Ziu was helpless and could only soak in the water as she said. As Wu Ziu was immersed in the medicinal bath, Yaran was secretly looking forward to the reward from the system. It was only half a sound, but the system didn't move at all. Dog system, are you dead? Isn't it rewarding to teach disciples to cultivate? How long has it been since? Reminder, all items rewarded by the host must be used by the disciple before they can be rewarded. Co-authors still have to wait for the end of the medicinal bath to get the reward? Yaran was helpless when she got a reply from the system, but she had no choice but to wait. Looking at Wu Ziu, who was soaking in the wooden bucket, she saw that the little girl's face was already covered with sweat, and her teeth were clenched tightly together. Cultivation of a martial artist is not an easy task, especially this medicinal bath to quench the body. To put it bluntly, it is to use medicinal power to force out impurities in the body. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com makes the human body stronger. During the whole process, the body will feel unbearable pain like a needle stick. It was the first time for Wu Ziyu to have such an experience, and this time, Yaran's family was emptied. So if the system is not strong, then Yaran really has to consider running away. After waiting for 2 full hours, Wu Ziyu ended her body quenching in the medicinal bath. At the same time, the reward from the system finally came too late. The detection host is a disciple of the sex-medicated body quenching body, and the reward is randomly triggered 50 times, rewarding 100 packets of ancient body quenching liquid, 100 perfect quality body refining pills, and 100 refining golden body tactics. Subterranean grade. Hearing the system's voice, Yaran hurriedly looked at the system space. This is turned on when the system is activated. The area is not large for the time being, only more than 10 cubic meters, but it can be expanded in the future. Right now, in the originally empty system space, 100 packets of ancient body quenching liquid and 100 perfect quality body refining pills are lying quietly. Seeing this scene, Yaran is happy. I couldn't help but say something in my heart, awesome system. All 3 awards can be said to be extraordinary. The effect of the ancient body quenching liquid is similar to the previous medicinal bath, but the effect is at least 100 times stronger. As for this body refining pill, it is something that has never appeared in this world. It can exercise the effect of tempering the body for warriors, and it is of great help to cultivation. There is also the final 100 refinements golden body art, which is a martial art practice, and it is unique in this world. Compared with the 100 alchemy golden body art, the Ye family's boxing technique is simply a garbage-like existence. 3 kinds of rewards. Yaran was jealous. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. The ancient body quenching liquid, the body refining pill, and the 100 alchemy body art, these 3 rewards, no matter which one they are definitely treasures that have never appeared in this world. Taking out a body refining pill, Yaran threw it into his mouth. He wanted to personally try the effect of this pill. As the medicinal pill entered the abdomen, a pure medicinal power was dissolved in the body in an instant. Every inch of the body's bones, muscles, and meridians clearly felt a tingling pain, as if they were constantly being tempered. It was Yaran's first time to experience such a feeling, and after a while, the forehead was covered with sweat. He gritted his teeth and didn't make a sound. To be honest, the body refining pill didn't feel good, and it could even be said to be tormented. But in the midst of such pain, Yaran clearly felt that his body was changing, and it was also a change in nature. I don't know how long it took, but I just felt that some restraint in the body was washed away, and a strong blood energy instantly flooded the whole body. The body is also full of power. As the medicinal power gradually weakened, Yaran unconsciously showed a smile on his face, which was a breakthrough. In this world, the realm of martial arts is very vague, it can even be said that there is no. After all, warriors are still mortals. Those monks simply do not recognize the existence of warriors. Even the strongest warriors will not be the opponents of monks. So naturally, no one will divide the cultivation realm of a warrior. The body refinement realm is the only realm of martial artists, but at this time, Yaran is very sure that he is definitely beyond the body refinement realm. Just when Yaran felt the new power, the door of the room was opened, and Wu Ziyu, who had put on new clothes, came out. Seeing Yaran sitting in the courtyard, Wu Ziyu stepped forward and shouted happily. "Master!" After undergoing a medicated bath to quench her body, the little girl's face was rosy, and her physique was obviously improved. And she is only 15 years old. In fact, she is already tall and slender. It is not difficult to imagine her beautiful appearance. This girl will definitely be a beautiful girl in the future. It was the first time that he noticed the beauty of his disciple, but in just an instant, Yaran came back to his senses, and then took out a body refining pill from the system space. This is an elixir, which can help you set foot on the martial arts as soon as possible. Naturally, Wu Ziyu had never seen the body refining pills before. Although it was said that there were also medicinal pills among the monks, those elixir only had effects on the monks. For ordinary people, they were no different from poisons. Because ordinary people simply can't bear the medicinal power of medicinal pills. Unexpectedly, Master also has the legendary medicinal pill. Without thinking about it, Wu Ziyu obediently ate the medicinal pill. In her heart, Master will never harm her. As the medicinal pill entered her stomach, Wu Ziyu, like Yaran just now, soon felt a tingling pain in her body. And because she hasn't really stepped into the martial arts, Wu Ziyu's pain is obviously far more than Yaran's. Seeing this, Yaran placed a light palm on Wu Ziyu's back, and the rich blood energy continued to pour into her body to help her refine the medicinal power. If you don't do this, the little girl alone will not be able to refine the medicinal power of this medicine pill. With Yaran's help, Wu Ziyu's condition quickly calmed down. And as the power of the medicinal pill was continuously absorbed by it, Wu Ziyu finally successfully entered the martial arts and entered the level of refining. As Wu Ziyu successfully broke through the body refining realm, the voice of the system also sounded in Yaran's mind. The detection host rewards the disciple with a perfect quality body refining pill, and randomly triggers 10 times the reward, rewarding 10 perfect quality body refining pills. Detection of the host disciple breaking through the body refining realm, randomly triggering 10 times the reward, the host's cultivation base is improving. Suddenly, Yaran's cultivation level also began to climb, the speed was very fast, and he stepped into a new level almost in the blink of an eye. The power is much stronger than before. The feeling of breaking through like this makes Yaran extremely comfortable. There is no need to do anything at all, and everything will be a natural breakthrough. She was in a good mood, and even her gaze towards Wu Ziyu softened. This little girl is now her lucky star. She thought that after the breakthrough in her cultivation, the little girl should be fine, but what Yaran did not expect was that Wu Ziyu not only did not quit her cultivation after the breakthrough in her cultivation, but on the contrary, her skin became more and more red. At the same time, the temperature on the little girl's body is getting higher and higher, like a volcano about to erupt. Seeing Wu Ziyu's change, Yaran was a little dumbfounded. What's the situation? I don't know what happened at all. After all, this is the first time I have encountered such a thing. Just as Yaran was stunned, Wu Ziyu's body suddenly burst into flames. The temperature of this flame was extremely high, forcing Yaran to back away a certain distance. But it wasn't over yet. Soon the flames spread wildly, and in an instant, the entire courtyard became a sea of fire. But what is strange is that this flame with a terrifying temperature did not harm the surrounding plants and trees. That's right, Yaran clearly saw the flames there, but the flowers, trees, and houses in the courtyard, reading www.uuganshu.com was not damaged in any way, which is very strange. System, what's going on? Completely unable to explain the scene in front of him, Yaran could only ask the system. Don't worry, host, this is a normal phenomenon of awakening martial spirit. Martial spirit. According to the memory of his predecessor, Yaran had never heard of the existence of martial arts. However, among the monks, it is said that there are special physiques, and those monks with special physiques are all true geniuses without exception, and their talents are completely different from those of ordinary people. Moreover, monks with special physiques will have some special means, such as attribute spiritual power. For monks with special physiques, the spiritual power in their bodies will become spiritual power with attributes due to their own constitution, and its power is far stronger than ordinary spiritual power. Under normal circumstances, as long as people with special physiques are born, they will almost be picked up by major sects at the first time, and they have set foot on cultivation since childhood, and they are still regarded as sects to cultivate in the future. Advantage: such people, as long as they do not fall, their future achievements will not be low. Staring straight at Wu Ziyu, he didn't expect that his disciple would actually awaken his martial soul. Although it was the first time, Yaran now understands that martial spirit is equivalent to a special physique, except that one belongs to cultivators and the other belongs to warriors. But both are equally powerful. The cultivator with a special physique is Tianjiao, and similarly, the warrior with martial spirit is also the real Tianjiao. In the future, cultivating martial Dao can completely achieve twice the result with half the effort, and the combat power will also be at the top of the same rank, completely crushing ordinary warriors. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. After making sure that these flames would not hurt him, Yaran was not dodging. At the same time, he quickly learned about the martial arts through the system. Like special physiques, martial spirits are born with them and cannot be formed through acquired cultivation. It's just that because there is no martial arts in this world, naturally no one knows about martial arts. And those who are born with martial spirits are also unable to awaken their martial arts because they cannot practice martial arts. Just like Wu Ziyu, because she didn't step into the body refinement realm before, her martial soul has always been in a deep sleep state, but now, after breaking through the body refinement realm, she naturally awakened. Time passed little by little, and finally Wu Ziyu's martial spirit was successfully awakened, and the flames in the courtyard slowly receded. Detecting the awakening of the red flame martial spirit by the host disciple, randomly triggering a 50-fold reward, rewarding the legendary martial spirit Indestructible Battle Spirit. Martial spirits also have strengths and weaknesses. From low to high, they are divided into 5 levels: ordinary, superior, top, unparalleled, and legendary. Wu Ziyu's Crimson Flame martial spirit is Peerless martial spirit. As the sound of the system fell, Yaran only felt an inexplicable power burst out in his body, and blood energy appeared all over his body. Yuan's body, which was seriously injured, kept recovering at this moment. I don't know how long it took, but when Yaran came back to his senses again, his injuries had healed, and he felt his own state. Although there is no change in the cultivation base, the combat power is completely different from the previous one. This is the horror of martial arts. Master. Seeing Yaran come back to her senses, Wu Ziyu, who had woken up long ago, shouted worriedly. Seeing this, Yaran smiled slightly. Fine. The little girl naturally didn't know about the martial soul, but after Yaran explained it to her, the little girl nodded her head in a vague way. After a day of training, the sky gradually darkened. In less than a day, Yaran could be said to be reborn. In a good mood, Yaran cooks and prepares dinner in person. After it was done, master and apprentice just ate in the yard. The Ye family martial arts hall is not very big, there is only one courtyard, one main hall and 4 wing rooms. During the meal, Yaran asked Wu Ziyu. By the way, Ziyu, is there anyone else in your family? To be honest, Yaran didn't know much about his own disciple, and even the memory of his predecessor didn't have a deep impression. After all, it was only a few days. Hearing Yaran's words, Wu Ziyu's expression changed obviously. Wu Ziyu was reluctant to say more about her own family, but she didn't want to lie to Yaran. After being silent for a while, she still said through gritted teeth. They all say that I am a disaster star, I have always been like this since I was a child. Saying that, the little girl's eyes turned red, and she couldn't help crying. Seeing this, Yaran didn't ask any more questions, and rubbed her head with a smile. Okay, this will be your home from now on, let's go over what's past. Under Yaran's comfort, Wu Ziyu stared blankly at her master. From Yaran, she felt the warmth she had never felt before. She liked this feeling very much, very attached, and ate silently until she was almost finished. Wu Ziyu suddenly raised her head to look at Yaran. Master. Okay. Will you not want me one day? They have always called me a disaster star since I was a child. How come, no matter when you are my disciple? Seeing Yaran with a smile on her face, Wu Ziyu was stunned, but she quickly smiled. Well, I also like Master the most. After speaking, the little girl blushed and ran away with the tableware and chopsticks she finished eating. Looking at Wu Ziyu's back, Yaran smiled and shook her head. Wu Ziyu may regard herself as her only relative, but Yaran, who is a transmigrator, is not. At this moment, both master and apprentice felt warmth because of each other's existence. After dinner, it's not too early. In this world, it is naturally impossible to have any entertainment at night. As long as it gets dark, every door and window is closed. After all, night is the time when all evil activities are most frequent. Generally, if there is no special emergency, no one will go out at night, of course, except for monks. They went back to their rooms to rest. In the room, Yaran took out the 100 alchemy body art that the system rewarded. During the day, I didn't have the energy to watch this, but now I can take a good look at it. Moreover, because I awakened the indestructible battle spirit, the injuries on my body have completely recovered, and my energy is very strong. This 100 refinements golden body art is only the basic technique of martial arts, and it is suitable for practitioners in the body refining and blood burning realm to practice. It also recorded in detail the division of the realm of warriors, which made Yaran extremely happy. After all, there is no division of the realm of warriors in this world, and even Yaran himself doesn't know what realm he is now. However, through the records of the 100 alchemy golden body art, this problem was solved. According to the memory of the predecessor, the cultivator's realm is divided from the first condensed chi realm, and then up to the Chang pulse realm, the core formation realm, and the purple palace realm. Each realm is further divided into entry, minor, major and consummation. The cultivation realm of a warrior starts from the first body refining realm, followed by the burning blood realm, Wei Yuan realm, and blood sea realm. Each realm is also divided into entry, minor, major and consummation. And Yaran is now at the blood burning realm Dachan, which is equivalent to the cultivator's pulse rushing Dachan. I have a clear understanding of my own cultivation, and at the same time I have a deeper understanding of martial arts all the way. Needless to say about the body refining realm, the beginning of martial arts is to temper oneself and consolidate the foundation. In the burning blood realm, it is more about replenishing blood energy. It can be understood that the blood of a warrior is equivalent to the spiritual power of a monk. The more abundant and refined the blood energy, the stronger the combat power will naturally be. Yaran is now at the level of burning blood, but due to systematic reasons, he naturally does not need to spend a lot of time cultivating like other people. The cultivation base of the system improvement, each step can be said to have reached the limit, which makes Yaran quite satisfied. Not bad, you can start teaching Ziyu to practice this 100 alchemy body art tomorrow. Yaran was extremely satisfied with the power of the 100 refinements golden body art, which was definitely a fundamental exercise against the sky. If one can cultivate the 100 alchemy body art to the level of perfection, then one can condense the 100 alchemy body, and at that time, water and fire will be invulnerable, and swords and guns will be invulnerable. Compared with the Ye family's boxing technique, this 100 alchemy body art is undoubtedly much stronger. So Yaran naturally forgot the Ye family boxing technique. Compared with these things that the system rewards, Ye family boxing is like a child's plaything. Moreover, by teaching Wu Ziyu to practice the 100 alchemy body art, she will definitely be rewarded again, which is refreshing to think about. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. According to the 100 alchemy golden body art, Yaran began to practice. Throwing a body refining pill into his mouth, Yaran was pleasantly surprised to find that the speed at which he refined the pills was much faster than in the daytime. This is due to the indestructible spirit of war. With the spirit of immortality, it is no exaggeration to say that Yaran is already a top-level genius in the martial arts at this time. Such a change made Yaran extremely excited. She spent the whole night cultivating. Early the next morning, Yaran woke up from her practice refreshed. After washing her body, she started to prepare breakfast. When breakfast was ready, Wu Ziyu also walked out of the room. When she saw Yaran, she immediately shouted with a smile. "Master! Come on, have breakfast." In the courtyard, the master and the apprentice were eating breakfast quietly. After eating, Wu Ziyu was in charge of cleaning up, while Yaran made a cup of tea comfortably in the courtyard. Looking at the busy back of the little girl, Yaran couldn't help thinking that, according to the system, as long as he taught his disciples, he would be rewarded. Then the more disciples you recruit, the better. But Yaran didn't plan to do that. After all, what happened to his predecessor is still vivid in his mind. If he randomly recruited disciples because of the rewards of the system, then Yaran would rather not accept them. After all, I don't like the feeling of betrayal. From Yaran's point of view, the number of his disciples can be small, and he can even suffer a loss, but he will definitely not cheapen those with bad character. Rather than being betrayed by his own disciples in the future, Yaraning is more than enough. Master! Just when Yaran was deep in thought, Wu Ziyu also finished cleaning up and stood in front of her pretty. Looking at the slim Wu Ziyu, Yaran said with a smile. "Let's start practicing after taking a break. Today, I will teach you martial arts exercises." Cultivation method? Isn't this something only cultivators have? Hearing that Yaran actually wanted to teach herself the exercises, Wu Ziyu asked suspiciously. Cultivators do have exercises, but they have never heard of them. Martial artists also have exercises. Yaran explained this simply. Warriors naturally also have skills. Saying that, Yaran took out the 100 alchemy body art and began to teach the little girl to practice. Wu Ziyu, who has the red flame martial spirit, is also very talented in martial arts. Under Yaran's teaching and with enough body refining pills, the little girl's progress is not slow, and it will take a long time to get started. However, this 100 alchemy body art is easy to get started with, but it is not an easy task to truly cultivate it to consummation. Regardless of whether it is a practice or a martial art, according to the degree of mastery, it is also divided into 4 levels: beginning, small completion, great completion, and consummation. Getting started is just a preliminary grasp of this exercise or martial art. There was no response from the system. It should be that the little girl will be rewarded after she has entered the cultivation level. For cultivation, Wu Ziyu is very serious and hard-working. Boy yet! Just as Yaran was teaching Wu Ziyu to practice, there was a knock on the courtyard door. Cultivation with peace of mind. After speaking to Wu Ziyu, Yaran got up to open the courtyard door, and saw Lao Chen standing outside the door at a glance. Elder Chen. Chen Lao came to review Yaran. Yesterday, although he saw that Yaran was out of danger, Chen Lao was still worried, so he came over in person today to see Yaran's recovery. Just when he saw Yaran with a red face, Chen Lao was stunned. In just one day, this kid has recovered like this? After inviting Mr. Chen into the room and checking his pulse, Mr. Chen said with a diabolical expression. "It's really strange for you, kid, you recovered in one day. Yesterday, Yaran's injuries were severe, and Chen Lao knew best. For such an injury, not to mention 1 day, 1 month's recovery is not bad. But Yaran, even after not seeing him for a day, this kid actually recovered." Yaran didn't know how to explain this. The existence of the system must not be told to anyone, so he could only talk perfunctorily. Perhaps the boy's physique is better. "You kid, no matter how good your physique is, you can't recover so quickly, but it's a good thing after all, it's good to recover." Facing Yaran's explanation, Chen Lao gave him an angry look, but he didn't get into it. Since you're fine, the old man, I'll leave. Seeing that Yaran was all right, Chen Lao didn't stay any longer, he just got up and left. After sending Chen Lao off in person, Yaran continued to teach Wu Ziyu to practice. On the other side, in the mansion of the Li family, the largest family in the mountain city, a group of Li family members gathered in the hall at this time. On the main seat, there was a middle-aged Taoist priest in a Taoist uniform. In the past few days, the Li family has been in a state of panic, because they are being targeted by evil spirits. In just 4 or 5 days, more than 10 people in the Li family were killed. There was no other way, the Li family had to spend a lot of money to go to the Wuvai temple outside the city and invited Daoist Zhao He to help. In the surrounding cities, this view of Wuvai is considered to be a very famous sect of cultivators, and the Taoist priests among them are also quite good. They often go down the mountain to kill evil spirits, and they have high prestige among the people. When Daoist Zhao He came here today, everyone in the Li family was naturally hospitable. I also asked the Taoist priest to take action and save my Li family's life. As the head of the family, Li Shan respectfully saluted Zhao He. It is indeed difficult for ordinary people to resist the evil, and only the monks can take action. Facing Li Shan's plea, Zhao He calmly waved his hand and said, "Since Ben Dao has gone down the mountain, he will naturally take action." Hearing Daoist Zhao He's words, everyone in the Li family thanked them again and again, but soon, following Daoist Zhao He's next words, the hearts of everyone in the Li family sank again. It's just that this evil is not easy for your Li family. A few days ago, did your Li family's ancestral tomb have any influence? The Taoist priest is right. A month ago, the clan did touch the ancestral tomb. This is it. With that said, Zhao He got up and asked Li Shan to take him to the ancestral tomb of the Li family. Li Shan naturally did not dare to refuse. Soon, the group left the city and came all the way to the ancestral tomb influenced by Li Jiexin. I saw that one of the tombs was obviously damaged, and the coffin was exposed. What was even more shocking was that the body in the coffin was actually gone. This. Seeing this scene, everyone in the Li family was dumbfounded. Back then, they watched these coffins buried in the ground with their own eyes, but now, how could a corpse disappear without a trace? Evil dead. In this regard, Zhao He was calm and said indifferently. Hearing this, Li Shan was puzzled. "Master, what does this corpse transformation mean? There are countless evils in the world, there are monsters, demons, ghosts, and rigidity. After death, some resentment turns into ghosts, and some anger turns into rigidity. Some people in your Li family become rigid." As soon as these words came out, the faces of the people in the Li family changed greatly. They never thought that their ancestors turned into zombies. Before everyone could recover, Zhao He continued. "After becoming a deadlock, you usually start with the people closest to you. That's why your Li family is targeted by this zombie. If you don't get rid of it, this deadlock will definitely kill your entire Li family. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass." Hearing Zhao He's words, everyone in the Li family turned pale with fright. How can this be done? Yes, why did the ancestors become zombies? I also asked the Taoist priest to save my Li family's life. In the panic, in the end, Li Shan, the head of the family, respectfully saluted Zhao He and pleaded. In this regard, Zhao He only said one thing. "Let's go back first." Seeing this, Li Shan breathed a sigh of relief. This time, the Li family paid a huge price in order to invite Zhao He to take action. Even though the Li family was the largest family in the mountain city, in the eyes of a cultivator like Zhao He, it was nothing at all. In the ordinary world, no matter how powerful a family is, to a cultivator, it is nothing but an existence that can be destroyed easily. Zhao He is still good. Many other monks, ordinary people, in their eyes, are probably not much different from the dust on the ground. All the way back to Li's house, Zhao He guessed that the zombie will still come tonight, because the zombie will not stop until he kills all his relatives. Don't worry, I will kill this zombie tonight. Seeing that everyone in the Li family was still worried, Zhao He said lightly. Hearing this, everyone naturally agreed, and Zhao He seemed to have become the only life-saving straw for the Li family at this time. He personally arranged a good room for Zhao He to rest. After Zhao He was settled, Li Shan and other Li family members gathered in the hall, and everyone's face was covered with gloomy clouds. Patriarch, do you think we should invite some people to strengthen the security work? Suddenly someone said, although ordinary people are basically no threat to evil spirits, but at this time, when there are many people, they will have a sense of security. This is human instinct. Coupled with such a big family as the Li family, they even wished to have people standing over the entire Li family mansion, so at least they could comfort themselves. Therefore, after hearing this person's words, the others almost did not hesitate to go along. The third uncle said it was good. Yes, Director Zhao He has limited energy after all, we still need to strengthen our own protection. Yes, it doesn't matter if you spend some money on it. Seeing that there was no objection from everyone, Li Shan thought about it and agreed. Anyway, as long as he paid the money, he could still find a lot of people, and he didn't need these people to deal with the evil. By the way, Patriarch, you can look for young master yet. At the end, someone suddenly mentioned Yaran. He is the only warrior in the mountain city. Although he can't compare with a monk at all, he is definitely much stronger than an ordinary person. Okay, if you go to the Ye Family Martial Arts Hall, be sure to invite Ye Ziazi. On the other side, Ye Family Martial Arts Hall, after most of the day's practice, Wu Zia was alone in the room, and her whole body was soaked in the medicinal bath. However, today's medicated bath is different from yesterday's. It is an ancient body-quenching liquid rewarded by the system, and the effect is much better than yesterday. Master's medicinal bath is amazing. I can clearly feel that the blood energy in my body is increasing crazily. The entrance to the body refinement realm, which I had just broken through yesterday, actually has signs of wanting to break through today. This is not surprising. While cultivating the 100 alchemy body art, while soaking in the ancient body-quenching liquid, the body refining pill is eaten like jelly beans. Even if it is a pig, the speed of cultivation cannot be slow, not to mention that Wu Ziyu has Xian martial spirit, and the talent of martial arts is not low, so the speed of cultivation is normal. Just as the medicinal liquid was continuously being absorbed, Wu Ziyu's aura was also improving. In fact, at this time, Wu Ziyu could forcefully attack Xiao Cheng in the body refinement realm, but after all, she had just set foot in the martial arts, and forcing her to break through wouldn't do her any good. The foundation is not stable. In the future cultivation, there will be all harm and no benefit. Besides, with Yaran's help and her own talent, there is no need to worry that her cultivation speed will be slow. So, when she realized that Wu Ziyu wanted to forcibly break through her cultivation, Yaran reminded her. Everything will be fine. Hearing the master's voice, Wu Ziyu did not force a breakthrough, and the originally violent aura quickly stabilized. Although if Wu Ziyu forcibly broke through, she would be rewarded immediately, but Yaran could clearly tell the difference between a full meal and a full meal. Besides, this is also his own disciple, so Yaran doesn't want to stop practicing. Good. He casually threw a body refining pill into his mouth, and Yaran chuckled lightly. Now this body refining pill is in Yaran's place. It's really no different from jelly beans, and they are too lazy to refine it, but let the body absorb the medicinal power naturally. In this way, although it will lose a lot of medicinal power, it is too wasteful, but it can't hold a lot. Yaran doesn't feel distressed at all. On this day, Yaran's body refining pills had reached as many as 5,000, and there was no such thing as not enough to eat. Waste is wasted, money is willful. At this moment, there was a knock on the courtyard door. Yaran got up and opened the door. When he saw the person coming, he quickly recognized the identity of the other party. Uncle Li. Yaran is not unfamiliar with the people coming, and the third uncle of the Li family is quite familiar. And this Li family, although it is the largest family in the mountain city, has a very good reputation in the mountain city. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. In the past, when encountering some disaster years, the Li family would open a warehouse to help the poor people in the mountain city. It was a rare good family. In addition, he is also very good to Yaran. His small martial arts hall has received a lot of support from the Ye family before, otherwise he might not be able to persevere. You must know that very few people are willing to practice martial arts these days, and even if they do, they are children of poor families who cannot afford tuition fees. And the Li family has been sponsoring him all the time, which is why the Ye family martial arts hall can be preserved. Although these are all things of the predecessor, Yaran also kept this kindness in his heart, so seeing Uncle Li coming, Yaran invited him into the courtyard with a smile. How come Uncle Li is free to come to me today? Oh, boy Ye, this old man is here to ask for your help. Hearing this, Yaran immediately said without hesitation. Uncle Li, please say that as long as I can do it, I will never refuse. It is good. Seeing Yaran so straightforward, Uncle Li warmed his heart. Yeziazi really wasn't that ungrateful person. Immediately, he told Yaran what happened in the Li family, and there was nothing to hide. After hearing what Uncle Li said, Yaran was stunned for a moment, but he didn't expect to ask him to deal with the evil. Seeing Yaran's silence, Uncle Li thought that this kid was scared. That's right. Ordinary people wouldn't be scared when they heard the evil spirits. Although Ye kid was a warrior, he was still an ordinary person. I didn't mean to blame Yaran, Uncle Li continued. Boy Ye, don't be afraid. Asking you to go is nothing more than to be brave. To deal with evil things, there is no need to worry about Zhao Hideo Keng's actions. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. Uncle Li thought that Yaran was afraid. Hearing this, Yaran shook his head and said. The third uncle is too worried, the boy is willing to accompany the third uncle for a trip. It's not that I'm afraid. Now that I have the cultivation of the blood-burning realm, Yaran has a lot of confidence. What's more, Li Sansu didn't say that there is a cultivator in the Li family. Hearing this, Uncle Li smiled and nodded. Okay, thank you, old man. Third uncle, you're welcome, the boy has received the grace of your old age all these years. Master. While the two of them were talking, Wu Ziu, who had finished soaking in the medicinal bath, walked out of the room and shouted to Yaran with her pretty face flushed. I told the little girl about going to Li's house. Originally, Yaran planned to let her stay in the martial arts hall, so she could go alone. But the little girl didn't agree to anything, she insisted on going with Yaran, and said that she was also a martial artist now, so she could help the master. Facing the little girl's insistence, Yaran finally had no choice but to agree. There was nothing to pack, so after changing clothes, the master and apprentice went to Li's house together with Uncle Li. On the way, Uncle Li asked curiously. By the way, boy Ye, what about your other apprentices? Uncle Li didn't know that Yaran was killed by a ghost. After all, people in Shancheng were killed by evil spirits every day. If they didn't ask about it deliberately, they would basically never know. Yaran didn't hide it either, and told Uncle Li the whole thing, except for the money to buy his life, so as not to worry about the old man. Hearing Yaran's words, I didn't expect this kid yet to go through such a dangerous scene a few days ago. A look of worry flashed in his eyes, and he even felt a little regretful. He shouldn't have come to this kid for help. In the battle with Li Gui, even if Yaran was a martial artist, he must have been seriously injured. At this time, he was asked to help in the Li mansion, which is really unreasonable. Seeing what Uncle Li was thinking, Yaran took the initiative to speak. Third uncle, don't worry, My injury has already healed. Besides, I don't need to take action this time, it's fine. It can be seen that Uncle Li is really worried about himself, and Yaran naturally compares his heart to those who are really kind to him. Under Yaran's insistence, Uncle Li finally had no choice but to exhort. The main purpose of this visit is to strengthen your courage. To put it bluntly, it is to comfort yourself. After all, when you encounter such a thing, more people always feel more at ease, so Yaziazi, you just need to protect yourself, and other matters will be your own, Deist Zhao. We'll deal with it. Third uncle, don't worry, the boy knows. The group of three quickly came to the Li family's mansion, and before entering the door, they saw more than a dozen guards guarding the door. Entering the front yard, there are 3 steps and 1 post, and 5 steps and 1 post. At first glance, the huge Li family mansion felt a little crowded, which shows how many people the Li family invited. However, these people are ordinary people. If they really deal with evil, it is estimated that they will be given for nothing. It's just like what Uncle Li said, the Li family didn't expect these people to be able to deal with evil spirits, and these people also knew that they were here just to pretend and be brave. Otherwise, it is estimated that few people dare to come. After all, no one is a fool if there is money to be spent. It is precisely because I heard that there is a monk in the Li family, and they can get money by showing up here, so these people will agree. When he came to the hall, Yaran met Li Shan, the head of the Li family. Seeing Yaran's arrival, Li Shan greeted him warmly. Boy Yet, you've come to the fore, the third child has made it clear to you, right? Patriarch Li, don't worry, the third uncle has already told me. Well, then I'll trouble you. Yaran's task is very simple, that is, to guard the front yard gate with everyone, others are paid 20 yuan a day, and Li Shan gives Yaran 100 yuan a day until the zombies are eliminated by Zhao He. Yaran naturally had no objection to this, and he didn't come here because of the 100 yuan, but to repay his gratitude. As time passed, the sky gradually became darker. At night, the entire Li family mansion was brightly lit, especially the front yard, which was even more blazing. There were hundreds of people, each holding a torch in their hands. Seeing this scene, Zhao He said to Li Shan speechlessly. Patriarch Li, it doesn't make any sense for ordinary people to deal with evil spirits. What the Taoist said, and I know it, is to strengthen the courage. Hearing this, Li Shan sneered and said, Zhao He didn't say much. In his opinion, Li Shan's actions are completely meaningless, but this has nothing to do with him. Anyway, it's the Li family's own business. If they want to invite someone, then please. Zhao He's mission was just to kill the zombie. As for the rest, it had nothing to do with him. Sitting upright in the main hall, quietly waiting for the arrival of the zombies. Not a single one of the surrounding Li family dared to fall asleep tonight, and they all gathered in the main hall, as if they could feel a little warmth only by staying by Zhao He's side. Time passed little by little, and until midnight, Zhao He, who had been closing his eyes to cultivate, suddenly opened his eyes and murmured softly. Coming. As soon as these words came out, everyone in the Li family was agitated, and their breathing was stagnant. Ming Rui sensed the zombie's aura. Zhao He got up, tapped his feet, his body was like a flying swallow, and he jumped out of the hospital in a few steps. You stay here. Just leave a word to everyone. From Zhao He's point of view, since the zombie has already arrived, he just needs to kill him directly. However, a zombie that has just turned into a corpse has the most strength at the level of condensing energy. With his perfect cultivation in the pulse-rushing state, it is not easy to capture. He didn't take this zombie in his eyes at all, but as soon as Zhao He left, everyone in the Li family was at a loss. It's just that they didn't dare to move around, so they could only honestly stay where they were and wait, praying constantly in their hearts that Zhao He would be able to kill the zombie successfully. At the same time, Yaran and Wu Ziyu in the courtyard also felt the smell of zombies. As warriors, their senses are not weaker than those of cultivators, especially Yaran. Master. Wu Ziyu leaned against Yaran worriedly. Fine. In response, Yaran comforted softly, but her brows were slightly wrinkled. For a moment just now, I did feel the aura of the zombie, but it disappeared soon after. Instinctively, something was wrong, but Zhao He had already rushed out at this time, so Yaran couldn't say anything. It's just that intuition kept telling Yaran that the zombie might not be as simple as he imagined, and Zhao He was a little too underestimated. He thought it was just a zombie that had just turned into a corpse. I hope it's all right. I secretly thought in my heart. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. Yaran hoped that it was all right, but Zhao He, who was chasing after him in search of breath, had already rushed out very far in an instant with his perfect cultivation in the pulse realm. He could feel the breath of the zombie along the way, and Zhao He didn't think much about it. At this moment, he just wanted to find the zombie and kill it. But there is something strange that Zhao He didn't pay attention to from beginning to end, that is, the breath is intermittent. He also despised this zombie too much, so Zhao He didn't find it strange. All the way, I was about to chase out of the city. When I got here, my breath suddenly stopped, but there was no shadow of zombies around. In the end, Zhao He found some corpses on the ground, and the breath was emanating from the corpses. Damn! Seeing this scene, Zhao He's face instantly darkened. How could he still not know that he was tricked by that zombie? It's just a zombie that just turned into a corpse, how could it have such intelligence? Zombies can be divided into purple, white, green, hairy, flying, swimming, submerged, and boneless according to their strength. Among them, Zai Zong is a zombie that has just turned into a corpse, and belongs to the weakest class. The whole body is purple, and the body can be kept from decaying initially. After cultivation, it can also condense the corpse energy, making the body more and more purple. However, Zai Zong's intelligence is not high, and their actions often follow instinct. Just like attacking relatives before death, it was completely driven by instinct. It is precisely because of this that Zhao He is so careless, because a Zai Zong, who doesn't even have much intelligence, can't have any strategy at all, but now it seems that Zhao He is completely wrong. This zombie is not at all a purple stiffness, or it has reached the point where it is about to break through the white stiffness. Zombies have already started to have self-consciousness after breaking through to white stiffness, which is commonly known as becoming an essence. He immediately turned around and rushed towards the Li family's mansion. You don't have to think about it to know that this zombie wasted so much energy to lure him out. Naturally, the purpose was the people of the Li family. Right now, although there are many people in the Li family, they are all ordinary people. If they encounter a dead body, they will definitely be powerless to fight back. Even after hearing from Li Shan that they also invited a warrior, in Zhao He's view, warriors are ordinary people, and they are not white-headed opponents at all. Being played by a zombie, Zhao He's face was black and ugly, and the speed of his feet was also increased to the extreme. It was only at this time that he thought that it was already too late to go back. Just as Zhao He had just left the Li residence, there was a sudden muffled sound from the courtyard gate. Everyone who was still secretly praying that no accident would happen, all of them looked in the direction of the courtyard gate with horror on their faces. Yaran also fixed his gaze on the courtyard gate, and it seemed that something had happened. Under the gazes of everyone, the courtyard door kept making a muffled sound. Boom, in the end, with a dull sound, the courtyard door was hit directly. Then, everyone only saw that a zombie whose skin had begun to change from purple to white appeared outside the door. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help shivering, and their bodies couldn't help but step back. Everyone in the Li family, especially, was so scared that their legs became weak. How come here? How come the zombies are here? Where's Deist Zhao He? Didn't he kill zombies? Why? Deist Zhao He, wouldn't there be an accident? Then what shall we do? As the blood relatives of this zombie before his death, everyone in the Li family was undoubtedly its first target. For a time, everyone in the Li family was completely panicked, and they had no masters. And those people who were invited to help in the courtyard have already fled at this moment, and they can't care about anything else. Master! Standing in the crowd, Yaran did not move, but the expression on his face was still calm, and he looked at the zombie in front of him curiously. Is this the evil in this world? It does look terrifying. Yaran didn't have much fear when she saw a zombie for the first time. In the panic of the crowd, the zombie opened its big mouth with fangs, and at the same time spit out a blood-colored mist. The green and cold eyes looked directly at the Li family in the main hall. Aware of the zombie's gaze, many of the Li family were so frightened that they fell to the ground. Then, I saw the zombie jump into the courtyard one step at a time, and keep approaching towards the direction of the hall. At this time, no one dared to step forward to stop this zombie, and everyone was thinking of running for their lives. Don't come here. It's over, my Li family is really over this time. Ancestor, why did you become a zombie? Cries, calls for help, murmurs, all kinds of figures appear one after another. In the face of zombies, everyone felt despair in their hearts. No one would have imagined that with Deist Zhao He in charge, this would end up being such a result. Just when everyone was full of despair, Yaran was not retreating but advancing instead. She rubbed Wu Zihu's little head. Wait here. Immediately, Yaran walked up to meet the zombie. Seeing this scene, not only did everyone not have the slightest surprise, they even thought that Yaran was crazy. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. Is Master Ye crazy? He doesn't want to fight this zombie, right? Even if it's a warrior, it's definitely not an evil opponent. Crazy, really crazy. This is simply asking for a dead end. Can a warrior fight against evil? This is just a joke. No one thought that Yaran would be the opponent of this zombie. Not caring what everyone thought, Yaran stepped forward to this zombie and found that someone was blocking his way. The zombie stared at Yaran with flickering eyes. A low growl came out of his mouth, and his sharp teeth flashed with a sharp cold glow. She didn't give Yaran a chance at all, she jumped and rushed towards Yaran. It's over. Seeing this scene, everyone thought that Yaran was definitely dead, absolutely dead. However, what everyone did not expect was that Yaran would not retreat but advance in the face of this zombie's attack, clenching his right fist, and the blood in his body surged wildly. Then it seemed like an ordinary punch, but when that terrifying force really bombarded this zombie, an unbelievable scene appeared. The last one came first, and with one punch, Yaran blasted the zombie away. Like a cannonball, the zombie's body slammed the courtyard wall. The originally sturdy courtyard wall collapsed directly under this blow. And those collapsed gravel bricks buried the zombie in it. I thought it was Yaran's death situation, but no one thought that it would end up like this. The originally panicked scene instantly quieted down, and everyone looked at Yaran in the center of the yard as if they had seen a ghost. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. Everyone couldn't believe the scene in front of them, until Wu Zihu cried out happily, and everyone came back to their senses. Master is amazing. Seeing Yaran blowing away the zombies with one punch, Wu Zihu ran to Yaran's side with a look of joy. For a while, the sound of gasping for breath sounded, and Li Shan said in surprise. Boy yet, you. Asking Yaran to come here was just a pretense. In fact, from the beginning to the end, Li Shan himself understood that the only person he could rely on was Deist Zhao He. But who would have thought that in the end it was Yaran who killed the zombie, and he only used one punch? This is outrageous. At the same time, Zhao He, who hurried back to the Li residence, saw that the courtyard gate and the wall had collapsed, and his face was a little ugly again. It was still too late. The zombie should have already arrived at Li's house, and he was not there. The other people faced this zombie, and the result could be imagined. It is estimated that at this time, the Li's house was already bleeding into a river. Thinking like this, Zhao He didn't hesitate, and rushed straight into the courtyard with a few dodging. "Bastard, stop!" he shouted angrily, but when he looked around, there was no shadow of zombies, and everyone present was alive and kicking, not even a single injured person. Standing in the courtyard, Zhao He looked around strangely, and then said suspiciously, "The zombies didn't come." While speaking, he looked directly at Li Shan next to Yaran, and Li Shan shook his head. "It's already here." "Here? Where are you? Isn't this old boy scared and stupid? Where are the shadows of zombies? And if the zombies really come, then you people can still stand here intact?" Under Zhao He's disbelieving gaze, Li Shan pointed to the collapsed courtyard wall. Seeing this, Zhao He waved his hand, and his spiritual power instantly scattered the gravel and bricks that covered the zombie, and the zombie that had been beaten to death by Yaran appeared again in front of everyone. This. Zhao He was stunned when he looked at the zombie who had apparently died of anger. As he had guessed, this zombie is indeed not an ordinary purple stiff, but has almost entered the level of white stiff, with white hairs growing faintly on the body, which is considered a half-step white stiff. Just who killed this half-step white zombie? I was not there just now. Could it be that other monks passed by and killed him? Under Zhao He's questioning, Li Shan quickly told the truth about what happened just now. After listening to Li Shan's remarks, Zhao He stared blankly at Yaran. Is it the zombie that this kid killed? And only one punch? The first reaction was disbelief, but with so many people present, it was impossible for all of them to lie. Just a little martial artist, can he have such strength? This is impossible. Although warriors are stronger than ordinary people, if they face zombies, ordinary purple zombies are probably difficult to deal with, let alone a zombie that is almost breaking through white zombies. Facing Zhao He's gaze, Yaran nodded slightly. It was considered a greeting. Without explaining too much, he turned to look at Li Shandao. Patriarch Li, since everything is settled, the kid will leave first. Ah, oh, leaving so soon? It's not too late to stay and rest for a night before leaving. Hearing this, Li Shan opened his mouth to hold back. After going through what happened just now, his attitude towards Yaran has obviously changed, and he has already brought a respectful tone to his speech. Just in the face of Li Shan's kindness, Yaran shook her head and refused, and quickly left with Wu Ziyu. He personally sent Yaran out of the house. Li Shan, who returned, saw Zhao He, who was still standing still, and respectfully stepped forward. "Master, what should we do now?" Looking at the zombie, although Yaran had already killed him at this time, Li Shan still had lingering fears. Hearing this, Zhao He came back to his senses and said something lightly. "Burned." With the help of everyone in the Li family, the courtyard was soon filled with dry wood. Zhao He also took out a talisman, the spiritual energy surged in his body, and the talisman spontaneously ignited. With a casual throw, the dry wood was ignited, and the zombies were instantly swallowed up by the raging fire. After doing all this, Zhao He returned to the house. What happened today really made it difficult for him to accept. A warrior actually killed a half-step by zone with one punch. If this happened before, Zhao He would never have believed it, but with the facts in front of him, he couldn't bear to believe it. That kid is weird. While shocked in his heart, Zhao He also developed a strong interest in Yaran. Not knowing what Zhao He was thinking, Yaran, who returned to the martial arts hall, looked at Wu Ziyu who was still excited and said helplessly. "Master, you are amazing today. Go to sleep quickly." The little girl was obviously still very excited, but Yaran was very indifferent. Although today was the first time I saw the evil spirits in this world, to be honest, the strength of that zombie was much worse than his own, which made Yaran uninterested at all. I finally have some self-protection power, but this is just the most common evil. Returning to the room, Yaran whispered softly. If you have strength, you will have confidence. At the same time, Yaran also understands that he is only just beginning, and there is still a long way to go in the future. Silent all night, the next morning, Yaran guided Wu Ziyu to practice as usual. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. There are 100 alchemy body techniques and body alchemy pills. The little girl's progress is very rapid, and her cultivation is also steadily improving. Seeing Wu Ziyu, who is working hard to cultivate, Yaran nodded with satisfaction. This is my cute little leek, which is growing vigorously every day. What Yaran didn't know was that after one night, what happened yesterday quickly spread throughout the mountain city. After all, the Li family invited a lot of people yesterday, so the news naturally spread quickly. Early in the morning, all over the mountain city were talking about Yaran killing the zombies with one punch yesterday. Have you heard that last night, Master Ye killed the zombie with one punch at Li's house? True or false, although Master Ye is a warrior, he is not a cultivator, can he fight evil? It's true, my eldest brother was at Li's house yesterday, and he saw it with his own eyes. So smart. That's right, it is said that even the deist Zhao he invited by the Li family was shocked. For a time, many people in the mountain city admired Yaran endlessly. If you have strength, you can get people's respect. This is true anywhere. In a tea stall, the three young people listened to the discussions of the people around them. At this time, they all had complex expressions, and their eyes flashed with inexplicable light. The three of them were Yaran's disciples before, but when they encountered the death of a ghost, the three of them chose to run away without hesitation. They didn't even greet Yaran, which was extremely heartless. Originally, the three of them thought that Yaran was dead, but who would have thought that not only did Yaran not die, but also killed a zombie with one punch? That is to go back. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass. The three of them are all orphans. Before being taken in by Yaran, they wandered around the city all day, living a hungry and full meal. It was not until he was taken in by Yaran that he had a place to live. But even so, the three of them were not grateful at all. They were completely different from Wu Ziyu. After knowing that Yaran was killed by a ghost, they chose to escape without any hesitation. Now that Yaran smashed the zombies with one punch and was highly respected by the people, the three of them moved back again. After all, following Yaran, if nothing else, there is no problem with eating a full stomach. No matter how difficult it was, Yaran never made his disciples go hungry. Looking at each other, everything was silent. The three got up and walked towards the martial arts hall together. The mountain city is not big, just a small town. After a while, the three of them came to the martial arts hall and slammed the courtyard gate. In the courtyard, Yaran, who was drinking tea leisurely, heard a knock on the courtyard door, but this time, before Yaran got up, Wu Ziyu took the initiative to open the courtyard door. It's just that when she saw the three people outside the door, the little girl's face instantly turned cold. What are you doing here? These three can be regarded as his senior brothers, but now, Wu Ziyu only has deep resentment towards the three. The three of them didn't care at all about this, and the first one even said with a smile, "Junior sister is right, let's take a look at Master, shall we?" "Humph, why didn't you think like that when you ran, and now you come again?" Wu Ziyu naturally wouldn't believe the three people's words, and at the same time, Yaran in the courtyard naturally heard the conversation of several people. To tell the truth, Yaran couldn't even hate these predecessors. From the moment they left, regardless of the master-disciple relationship, the master-disciple relationship had long since been broken. Even if he accepted them, Yaran would be able to get more rewards from the system, but he wouldn't do it himself, and would rather suffer a bit of a loss than be cheap to these witty-eyed wolves. "Ziyu! Master! Just hit it out!" She didn't even bother to see her, so Yaran asked Wu Ziyu to drive the three away. With the little girl's current cultivation level, it is more than enough to deal with these three wastes. Hearing this, Wu Ziyu nodded with a smile, turned around and shouted. Did you hear that? Master told you to go. Junior sister, you are going too far. Everyone is Master's disciple. We want to see Master, why do you stop us? If you don't go, I'm welcome if you don't go. If that's the case, then senior brother will only be offended. The three were not afraid of Wu Ziyu at all. How could a yellow-haired girl still deal with the three of them? It was only in the next second that the three of them regretted it. Although it was only a few days, Wu Ziyu at this time was already a true warrior. Seeing that the three of them refused to leave, Wu Ziyu didn't talk nonsense, she threw a punch, and the young man at the head was immediately sent flying. Seeing this scene, the other two were immediately dumbfounded. The little junior sister who looks soft and weak, is so strong? Roll! When she was stunned, Wu Ziyu shouted coldly. This time the three did not dare to talk nonsense anymore, and left in embarrassment. Seeing how the three of them fled in embarrassment, Wu Ziyu showed a smile. They abandoned her master ruthlessly before, and she could not forgive these people. Master is so good, and people like them are not worthy of becoming Master's disciples. Just when Wu Ziyu was about to close the door, Li Shan and Director Zhao He came to visit. Seeing the two, Wu Ziyu took the initiative to salute. Patriarch Li, Deist Zhao He. Well, we came here specifically to find Master Ye. I really thank Master Ye for what happened yesterday. Facing Wu Ziyu, Li Shandu smiled politely and changed his name from the original Yeziazi to Master Ye. As for Zhao he stood by and remained silent. Hearing this, Wu Ziyu welcomed the two into the hospital. Coincidentally, as soon as Zhao He came in, he saw Yaran throwing a body refining pill into his mouth. Yaran's body refining pill is really no different from jelly beans. Seeing this scene, Li Shan didn't feel anything. After all, as an ordinary person, he has never been in contact with medicinal herbs. But Zhao He was stunned on the spot, his eyes were wide open. Did he read it right just now? Did this kid eat an elixir? Without waiting for Li Shan to speak, Zhao He, who had come to his senses, strode to Yaran and asked in shock. Did you take a pill just now? There are also medicinal pills in Wu Vai Vu, but they are all precious. Even Zhao He only has one pill a month. Every time he takes medicinal herbs, Zhao He wishes to fast and bathe to express his importance to medicinal herbs. But Yaran, if I read it right just now, this kid just threw it into his mouth, and he didn't even refine it, which is outrageous. That's an elixir. Whoever eats elixir won't refine it. This is definitely a cruelty. Seeing Zhao He's shocked, sad, and even angry expression, Yaran said casually. The deist got it wrong, it's not a pill, but a jelly bean. Jelly beans. Hearing this, Zhao He looked at Yaran with a look of resentment as if you thought I had a bad mind. He hasn't reached the point where his old eyes are dim. Just now, it was obviously a medicinal pill. As a monk with a complete pulse, Zhao He can still clearly distinguish between medicinal pills and jelly beans. Yu reading www.yuyugonshu.com. It's just that Yaran didn't admit it, and he couldn't help it, but when he thought that Yaran was so wasteful, Zhao He couldn't help but say. Each pill is a treasure. When using it, you must adjust your own state to the peak, and you must refine it with all your strength, so as to ensure that the medicinal power will not be lost. It's a pity to use it like yours, it's just right. The insult of pills. It was as if an elder was teaching the younger generation earnestly, but Zhao He didn't have any bad intentions, but he simply couldn't see Yaran's waste. Seeing this, Yaran smiled helplessly. The Taoist master misunderstood, it's really jelly beans. It is indeed a jelly bean. Yaran has nearly 10,000 of the refining pills on his body at this time, so don't worry about what is not wasted. Anyway, this thing can't be eaten at all. To eat one for Wu Ziyu, if you want to add dozens more, how can you care about that? But Zhao he didn't know. Seeing Yiran like this, he didn't know what to say. You. By the way, Daist Zhao and Patriarch Li came to see me, is there anything? Not wanting to continue to struggle with this topic, Yiran took the initiative to ask. Hearing this, Li Shan waved to the outside of the courtyard, and then a servant named Li walked in with a large suitcase. Master Ye, this is a small tribute from my Li family. I would like to thank Master Ye for taking action yesterday, which saved my Li family from suffering. Seeing Yiran's strength, Li Shan naturally wanted to hug this thigh tightly, so he was not stingy with gold and silver jewelry. I just hope to have a good relationship with Yiran. At critical moments in the future, I hope Yiran can protect the Li family. Ask for a collection, a recommendation, a monthly pass.